How to make a white rose, double-sized. How to make a wet felted white rose, double-sized. This is part 2 of 2 videos. In this video, I'm not going to go through every single step because I covered a lot of that in the first video. So just a few reminders here and there, and we'll focus on the making of something double-sized. I'm going to use this silk hanky that is there, pulling that apart and adding a bit of silk. The silk catches the light. Maybe you can see that in this one I'm showing you. Lying down having a rest is the rose that we made in part 1 of how to make a white rose. So just a reminder, white roses aren't white. They have a little bit of colour, and that little bit of colour gives you some light and shade and some nuances, and that's how it is in real life. And it will look so much better if you don't use just a flat colour in your work. So I'm making up the resist exactly the same as normal, except that I've cut 2 of them. So now I cut each one of those in half and spread it out, and then I'm going to sticky tape them together. Really simple, nothing special about the sticky tape, it was just what I had about me. And on the other side I'll put a different piece of tape, just because that's what I had about me. And there it is. It's quite a lot of wool to lay out, but it's still not very much. So if you're making a pale colour rose, you need to put down a substantial amount of white first, and then you can add some colour to the top of it. And you can see how there is a big difference between that silk hanky silk, which is very stark white, and the carded wool that I've used. Now, what we're looking at here is that lot of wool that has now been wet down. And now we have this time warp. Just magically assume that you've taken this away, you've put it into a stocking, rolled it up, and you have been working this. I think in my last video I said I spent at least an hour working on the project while it's wrapped up in the tube for at least an hour while I was watching TV. I know I repeated myself then, sorry about that. With this one, I think I left it even more than that. So I might have done 2 hours, but not consecutively. I left it overnight. There seems to be something quite magical that happens when you leave felt overnight and then keep working it the next day. There's certainly no detrimental effect in doing that. But my beautifully prepared little leaves, which started off just the right shape for roses, got all narrow because in this way that we're rolling, I'm only able to roll in the one direction. When you make a flat piece of felt, you can roll from all 4 directions, and that makes a difference, but I've been able to pull it out with my fingers. And so now we have the great reveal. It doesn't look like there's much under there. Maybe that's because there isn't, but there is a long length of wool. I was very curious at this stage to see just how much it had felted. I was quite frightened that the centre part, especially once we get past this halfway point, hadn't really felted at all. But I was wrong. It had felted, and I really didn't have to work it very much at all. But as you can see, it's quite a large parcel. So when I pull that out, I think we've still got a fair bit of work to do. So let's get stuck in, and we'll start at the base of the rose, and I'm going to be cutting and shaping the petals. Probably in this particular rose, I have cut and trimmed more than I normally would. I think in a lot of my work, I haven't really trimmed the roses at all. I've set them at a particular height or size of the petal, and then I've just left it alone to see what comes out, what happens. But this time I have interfered because I want the petals not to come out with all of the gaps between petals on top of each other. Hope that makes sense. And look at that. I haven't really had to stop and keep working any of those petals. These petals have worked, so that's what happens if you put a fair bit of time into this. It really is worth it. And like happens with a lot of art, you get to a certain point and you think, this is okay, I could leave this at this point. But if you consider that that's probably about half done when you sort of make that decision, there's a long way to go, and you can make something better and better and better by keeping on with it. However, there's also that point at which it's time to put it down and leave it alone and stop. Again, that's where leaving something overnight can be really helpful. And this work, even at this stage, is very malleable. And you keep seeing me pulling out the petals in the middle. I would never be able to plan for that shape in the first place with this method of rolling everything on in a strip. But the wool is very malleable. It might be felted, it's not full though. It hasn't finished felting. I could force this to felt a lot more, but of course I don't want to. I want these roses to be soft and pliable, just like a real rose. Meanwhile, here in Western Australia, it is spring and our gardens are full of lovely flowers, including some white roses. I'm sure you can understand what a joy it is to have spring come. It's been quite a cold winter where I live. It's mainly cold because our houses are not built for cold. Our houses are built for heat. We're very good at heat, but not so great for cold. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed these videos, especially these two, and I hope that you feel free to make a rose of your own. I would love to hear about your work. I have heard from some wonderful people who've been doing some great work. And of course, everyone that takes on a project like this adds value to the original. Can't help it. So it's really valuable if people do share their discoveries and the little inventions that they have made and the changes that they have made. It'd be really great if you sent a photo of your work. That would be terrific. I would really appreciate it. We're nearly done. Now see, I put that yellow tinted merino in the center to give that sense of a center. Now, if I was going to make it like a real rose, I would now do a whole lot of work making some beautiful little embroidered stamens in the middle. But I think I'm a bit worn out. Another time perhaps. But you feel free. You go right ahead and make leaves and stems, and if that's what you want. And I'm looking forward to wearing these. I'm going on a holiday this week and I'm going to take this rose and wear it. Since you're still watching, it would be fabulous if you would subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And also, please hit the like button if you did. See, you think it's finished, but no, you've actually just got to keep going, keep working it. There's always a bit more to do. And that's what it looks like without any finishing glue or anything like that on it. And this time I haven't played with the electric rollers or the hair straightener. That's just how it has come out, by working it with my hands. I have to say I'm pretty pleased with this little rose. It is a dear. Thank you, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you next time.